So I just wanted to briefly talk about what it's been like coming out as trans as a nurse. So basically what happened was I was working on a different unit, and I decided that if I was going to come out, I had started T already, but it was the beginning and my voice didn't really sound all that different, and everything was fine. But I decided that, one, it was time for me to change units, and two, what a perfect opportunity to try to start over a little bit. Luckily for me, the hospital that I work at has LGBTQ advocacy committee, and they offer transition teams. So basically I was set up with the director of the committee and an HR person. And when I went to go switch my units, I spoke with the nurse recruiter about using the right pronouns, like in emails and stuff like that. So using male pronouns. And so that was a part of it. And then what happened was that I interviewed in the emergency room, and then I interviewed in the burn trauma ICU. And when I interviewed in the emergency room, I never really heard back about that interview, and I don't know if this is why, but I had come out to them in the interview and basically said, just so you know, I'm going to be transitioning. It's more so I just am hoping that you all can be supportive of me and help me with the pronoun thing for a while, and blah 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 blah. They seemed a little confused, but fine. And then I never really heard from the job. So when I did this second interview, I was kind of nervous to say anything because I felt like the first one, I don't know if it was because I came out, but I didn't say anything. And basically what happened was that I was offered the job. And after I was offered the job, I worked with the director of this advocacy committee and HR. They went and had a meeting with the HR person of the critical care unit, or all of the units, and my manager and the assistant nurse managers, so the leadership team, and basically said, you're gonna have this person coming onto your unit, and he uses these pronouns, he's transitioning. And luckily for me, so I've been on the unit for, I think, not even 2.5 months. I don't even think 2.5 months. 2 months maybe. My management and leadership team have been really great. My manager slipped up once, and they made sure to pair me with, so I have to do orientation, so they made sure to pair me with preceptors that would be cool and use the right pronouns and be not afraid to correct other people if I weren't around. And so they set me up with 2 main people, and then if I can't work with those people, they actually set me up with someone from leadership to make sure that happens. So I've been ridiculously lucky, and just because this could have not been the case. And there are definitely people on the unit that are still messing up, and some that could honestly be doing it because they don't want to use male pronouns. I don't really care about those people, to be quite frank. I just don't give a fuck. Once I came out to my extended family, which I can make a different video about, but I came out to my extended family, and once I did that, I was just kind of the most important people in my life know now that I don't really care about random extraneous people. I don't even have the energy for it anymore. But I've been really lucky, and people have been pretty respectful, at least to my face. And I know the thing is that people they didn't know me before, so they didn't know like what my voice sounded like before, and they don't know what I looked like before, which is really not all that much. So I think it's really hard for people. And my legal name is different than the name that I like to go by, and that's really hard for people. I actually legally changed my name, but I prefer to go by Bennett or Ben or whatever. So I might actually legally change my name again when I change my gender marker. So it's kind of a complicated situation just because hospitals are really conservative areas, and I think that I lucked out with a group of leadership folks that are actually have been really supportive, and they're just like, just let us know if you need anything. You tell us if someone F's up, tell us if someone's being disrespectful. I did have a situation at work where an outside vendor actually outright asked me if I was trans. She was there like showing us these new like cloth things for patients, and it was me and my preceptor, and luckily it was just me and my preceptor. And she came up and she was talking to my preceptor, and my preceptor had asked me like, oh, did you hear her shtick yet? And I was like, before I could say anything, the woman was like, oh yes, she did. And my preceptor was like, he. And she was like, huh? And my preceptor again said, he. And she looked at me all confused, and I was like, yep, he. And she was like, oh, are you that transgender deal? And I looked at her and I was like, transgender deal? Like, what? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, hoping she was gonna like pick up on how much of an a-hole she sounded like. And that didn't happen. So then she was like, yeah, I mean, she said she, and I was like, nope, she corrected you because you used the wrong pronouns. And she was just like, oh, and like kept going. So long story short, she left. My preceptor went immediately to management. Management went down to the office that oversees all the vendors that come in and out of the hospital. And they found out who she was. We had to like pick her out of a face lineup because we didn't know her name. And then she got kicked out of the hospital. She actually got fired that day. So for a really shitty situation to happen and to feel like you're being forced to be outed in that moment in a public space, and have someone be so blatantly unaware of how disrespectful and could be dangerous depending on who was around. I felt really supported in that moment by the folks that I worked with, and it was really great. So after, I got really anxious and like upset for that day, just thinking back and be like, wow, that actually went really well. Because if it were up to me to have had something happen, or like, some sort of reprimand for what she did, just me by myself, it wouldn't have happened. But my manager just flipped right into action, and they were just like, nope, that's not gonna happen, like absolutely not. And the hospital was like really apologetic, because it is actually University of Rochester Medical System does not tolerate that at all. Like, it's in their policy, and they're just like, nope, like if that's the way it's gonna be, if that's the way you feel, you don't work here. So I'm really lucky. I'm lucky I live in New York State, and I'm really lucky I work at this hospital, because I think it's been like a lifesaver for me right now, just to feel that extra support system. But yeah, I can make a separate video about coming out to my family, because I did that really recently. And if anyone has any questions about like coming out at work and like the little details that I didn't get to, and getting to this point of coming out at work was a really big deal. And just, you know, how it went and how it's going, and I'm more than happy to talk about all that, because I'm out to everyone now. And I never thought I'd get here, so I'm actually really stoked, and feel really good about that. So yeah.